The jungle of Varrock 9 did not forgive the weak. It had swallowed entire survey teams, soldiers, scientists, and scouts, in the 3 years since the Kareth Dominion had claimed the planet as their own hunting ground. The atmosphere was thick with ammonia mist. The trees were black-barked and 60 meters tall, and between them crawled things that had no name in any human language. The gravity was 1.4 standard. The days lasted 41 hours. The temperature at night dropped to -30. Mara Ellison had been here for 6 weeks. Alone. She crouched behind a collapsed ridge of volcanic rock, both pistols drawn, their barrels pointed at the mist ahead. Her breathing was controlled, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, the same rhythm she had used since childhood on Hephaestus Station, where the air recyclers broke twice a year and panic was a death sentence. Her dark hair was matted with mud. A long cut ran across her left cheek from a close encounter with a Varrock razorback 3 days ago. She had sutured it herself with field wire and kept moving. She was not afraid. She had long ago decided that fear was a tax she could not afford. Kael Veyron stood on the ridge above her, though Mara did not know it yet. He was enormous by human standards, 3 meters tall, his body encased in plates of bioluminescent chitin that shifted color from deep violet to arterial red depending on his mood. 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern, gave him near-perfect omnidirectional vision. His crest of spine fins rose high when he was contemptuous, and right now they were raised to their fullest extent. He had been watching the human female for 4 days. In the Kareth Dominion, hunting sapient prey was the highest sport. Kael Veyron was the Dominion's finest beast commander. The title meant something very specific. He did not merely kill. He commanded living weapons. His pack consisted of 12 threshounds, gene-engineered predators the size of ground vehicles, with armored skulls and jaws that could close through 3 inches of combat steel. He had personally broken every one of them. He had used them to bring down warships, to clear fortress tunnels, to execute 3 planetary governors who had displeased the Dominion Council. He had been ordered to eliminate the human anomaly who kept destroying Dominion survey outposts. He found the assignment insulting. 1 small female, 2 primitive projectile weapons, and no armor beyond a worn ballistic vest. He sent 4 threshounds into the mist below. Mara heard them before she saw them. The ground vibrated in a specific pattern, heavy, rhythmic, wide-spaced. For contacts. Large. Flanking approach from 3 directions, which meant a 4th was coming straight at her through the middle of the fog. She had hunted on Hephaestus. She had hunted on Karoth Drift, on the bleeding moons of Sapphira, and on the disaster world of Cinder 4, where the fauna had evolved to hunt in vacuum. She knew what a flanking approach felt like before she ever saw it. She moved. Not away. Forward. She sprinted directly into the mist, toward the sound of the center contact. The threshound burst through the fog 3 seconds later, 2 tons of armored murder, jaws already open, closing the distance in enormous bounding strides. Mara dropped to 1 knee, raised both pistols, and fired a full magazine from each weapon into the soft tissue cluster located directly behind the creature's skull. She had learned that anatomy from a Dominion dissection file she'd stolen from a destroyed outpost. She had memorized it in 1 sitting. The creature crashed to the ground 3 meters from her, skidding through the mud, and was still. She reloaded both weapons in 4 seconds. She had practiced that reload 10,000 times since she was 14. The second threshound appeared on her left flank. She rolled, let it pass over her, and put 6 rounds into the joint where its foreleg met its torso, the only unarmored pivot in its skeletal design. The leg buckled. The creature turned, snarling. She was already behind it. She emptied the second pistol into the base of its skull. 2 down. The third came from above, leaping off a high boulder. Mara did not look up. She heard the displacement of air and the minute creak of rock under launch pressure. She pivoted, stepped to her left by exactly 1 meter, and let the creature land where she had been standing. As it scrambled to reorient, she pressed one pistol against the gap between its neck plates and fired 3 times. 3 down. The fourth threshound was the smart one, or had been trained to hold. It waited. It circled. Mara could hear it pacing in the fog. She stood still and let it come, because she understood predatory patience. She had it too. When the creature finally lunged, it lunged hard and fast and without telegraphing, but it lunged at the position where she had been standing, not the position where she was. She had moved 2 seconds before the attack, responding not to the lunge itself but to the micro-shift in the ground vibration that preceded it. She put both pistols against its flank as it passed her and fired until both weapons clicked empty. The fourth threshound collapsed at the edge of the fog bank. Total elapsed time, 41 seconds. Mara reloaded both weapons, rolled her shoulders, and looked up at the ridge above her. She had known someone was watching. Kale Veyron stared down at her. His spine fins were no longer raised. In 40 years of commanding beast packs, he had never watched prey neutralize 4 threshounds in under a minute. He ran rapid calculations. He had 8 hounds remaining. He could send them all at once. He could use terrain to funnel her into a narrowing choke. He had done this to armies. But something in his 4 eyes was no longer contemptuous. Something in him was, very slowly, beginning to understand what the Dominion Council had misclassified. Humans were not listed as a Deathworld species in Dominion records. The survey teams that had died here had been attributed to environmental hazard. The possibility that a native organism of the human world could be genuinely, structurally, biologically dangerous, not dangerous like a weapon, but dangerous the way a Varric razorback was dangerous, the way the threshounds themselves were dangerous, had not been entered into the Dominion's threat assessment. Kale Veyron entered it now, in the back of his mind, while he looked down at the small muddy figure standing in the fog below him. She was looking directly at him through the mist. He wasn't sure how. He was 50 meters above her, in shadow, with chromatic camouflage active. And yet she was looking directly at him. He sent the remaining 8 threshounds. Mara saw them coming and she smiled. Not because she wasn't afraid. She was, marginally, the way she was always marginally afraid, enough to sharpen her, not enough to slow her. She smiled because she recognized the pattern. 8 was a panicked number. 8 was what you sent when 4 hadn't worked and you didn't know what else to do. 8 was the beginning of the end of whoever was commanding from that ridge. She fought for 11 minutes. She used the terrain, the fog, the burning wreckage of the first 4 hounds, and the specific acoustic properties of the volcanic rock to deflect, separate, and isolate each new creature. She took a hit from one, its tail caught her across the ribs and threw her 6 meters through the air. She landed, tucked, rolled, came up firing. 2 ribs cracked. She breathed through it the way her mother had taught her to breathe through the recycler failures, slow, deliberate, unimpressed by pain. She killed the last threshound with her final 2 rounds, 1 in each eye. Then she looked back up at the ridge and began to climb. Kale Veyron could have fled. He did not. The Kareth were not cowards. He waited on the ridge because something in his ancient soldier's mind demanded he meet this creature face to face. He wanted to understand what he was looking at. He wanted the data point. Mara Ellison came over the ridge edge covered in mud, blood, and threshound ichor, both pistols raised, both weapons empty. They looked at each other. Kale Veyron's spine fins were completely flat. "You are from the Deathworld," he said, in Kareth, which she did not speak. She didn't need to understand the words. She read the posture, the lowered crest, the stillness of a predator that had finally, fully, recalibrated. "My name is Mara Ellison," she said. "And this planet is ours now." She raised both empty guns and watched him decide. He decided correctly. Kale Veyron, beast commander of the Kareth Dominion, turned and walked back to his ship. The fog settled. The jungle of Varric 9 went quiet. Mara Ellison reloaded both weapons, checked her cracked ribs with 2 careful fingers, and began walking toward the nearest Dominion outpost. She had work to do.